What's going on, sexy beast? Bald Frappuccino here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the trench gun and seeing exactly how it has changed throughout the years. So let's go ahead and get the shit started. So shameless plug real quick, but I actually have 4 new t-shirts in my t-shirt shop. Link will be right down there in the description. They are going to be 4 Church of Rabbit t-shirts. If you really don't know what the Church of Rabbit is, it's kind of like a cult that we may or may not have started in my live streams. So if you get the joke and you want to join the Church of Rabbit, go ahead and go over to my t-shirt shop, or if you just think the shirts look cool and you want to help support the channel, again, link will be right down there below. Go ahead and check it out. If you actually end up getting a shirt, go ahead and tweet at me when you actually get it. I would love to see it, and I would love to hit you up with a retweet. So again, check it out. Link will be right down there below, and thank you guys so much for giving it a look if you do, or if not, no. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into this video. So before we do like the side-by-side stuff, I want to give you guys a little bit of background information about this weapon in real life. So the trench gun, or the Winchester Model 1897, also known as the Model 97 or the M97 and later got its name the trench gun, was a pump-action shotgun, as the name suggests, made in 1897 and continued to be produced until 1957. It was designed by a man called John Browning and was used in a couple wars and was used by the United States Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. It saw its first major use in the Philippine-American War, but it saw its main use in World War I and World War II. Now, during the time of World War I, this thing was deadly and was especially good for trench warfare, but we had to do a couple of modifications before we really got it into war shape. We had to add a perforated steel heat shield over the barrel, so that way, you don't burn your hand when this thing becomes overheated, and we also added a lug for attaching a bayonet. And that is what you are seeing at the end of all these trench guns when we actually show you the in-game one, and I will point it out when we get to the comparisons of all these trench guns. Now, unfortunately, Germany likes to start world wars and lose both of them, hashtag this post was made by back-to-back World War wins. I know Germany didn't really start World War I, but just go with the meme. But even though Germany was the bad guys in both of these wars, they were not fond of the trench gun. They did their best to make sure that we were not allowed to use this. A part of their protest reads, "It's especially forbidden to employ arms, projections, or materials calculated to cause unnecessary suffering." And really what we did was say, fuck you, we're gonna keep using it. So we did. And the trench gun ended up seeing more use throughout World War I and was also used in World War II, and also a similar version of the 1897, the Model 12, was also used in World War II. Really, this one, the only main difference was it was hammerless, so you're not going to see this little hammer right here. This will just be completely smooth. And overall, the trench gun seems to be like a pretty badass weapon, and I would love to use one in real life. It seems like it'd be really fun and a pretty cool piece of history to own. Alright, so now that the history lesson with licensed Professor Rabbit, that's a lie, now that we're done with all the history stuff, let's get into all of these shotguns. The first thing I'm going to do is let you guys watch and listen to each individual one, both unupgraded and upgraded, because I want you guys to see for yourself and hear for yourself all of the differences. Black Ops 1 and World at War are very, very similar, but there are a lot of differences between those and the Black Ops 4 version, which you would really never pick up if you were to just use these in their individual games, but if you actually try to look for it and see it and hear it, you can definitely tell the differences. So real quick, I'm going to let you guys watch and listen. Here you go. So like I said, Black Ops 1 and World at War are very, very similar, while the Black Ops 4 version does have some differences. Let's talk about the OG, the M1897 trench gun from World at War first, and then we'll make our way down the list. So the OG trench gun still looks very nice to this day. I think World at War, 10 years later, still looks really, really nice. Now, some aspects of the game don't look as nice, but I definitely do think the guns look very, very good for being 10 years old. And this World at War trench gun is definitely no exception. This thing looks fantastic. It has the same gray going down the entire length of the gun, and if you actually look to the right of the gun, you can see the US is printed right here, and this trench gun does have some scratch marks over it, so it's not like a brand spanking new out of the oven trench gun. This thing has seen some action. And towards the end of the trench gun, you can see a place where you would attach the strap if you fucking had one, which you didn't back in the day, and also a place where you could attach a bayonet, again, if you had one, which you didn't. Like, imagine if back in World at War, you had a bayonet attached to your trench gun that was like a 1 knife to round 5. More people would have went to the trench gun instead of the Thompson. Back in World at War Derice, no one ever fucking went this side. Everyone went straight for the Thompson. But if this thing had a bayonet, I can guarantee you, I would have went to this side every single time. And one cool thing that I noticed about Black Ops 1 and World at War, when you pump the shotgun back, you tilt the thing all the way to the side so you can see the whole shell eject, and I think that's just really badass. It gives you a much better look at the entire trench gun and not just like the entire left side of it. And when you ADS with this trench gun, it seems like everything but the gun is in focus. The hammer in the back's out of focus, and that is the part that distinguishes the 1897 apart from the 1912. The hammer in the back on the 1912 would not be there. But like I was saying, it seems like everything but the gun is in focus, and a pro tip if you're new to shooting, you want the sight to be in focus and not what you're shooting at. I see why it's like this in a game for obvious reasons, but in real life, if you're going out shooting, you want the sight to be in focus and not the object. So pro tip from Uncle Rabbit, and this is not a tip that I invented whatsoever, it's just a tip that's very commonly known if you're going out shooting. And the last thing that I did notice that separated the World at War and the Black Ops 1 version from the Black Ops 4, the reloading animation is mainly off screen, you only catch like the end of it, while in Black Ops 4, you see a lot more of the hand and you see a lot more of basically the entire reloading process. Now if we upgrade that bad boy to the gut shot, this thing looks amazing. Like, I'm still stunned to this day how good this trench gun looks upgraded. Just look how amazing that chrome skin looks on a 10-year-old game. This looks so goddamn beautiful. I was in shock by how good this still looks to this day. It looks amazing. Now, it's not always going to look like this. It all really depends on what kind of lighting you're in. With the lighting that I have this trench gun in, it looks like you have certain sections that are white and certain sections that are black. But if you are in a different lighting set, the entire thing is going to look chrome. It really all kind of depends on where you are in the map. So for me, I wanted this trench gun to look as good as possible, so I picked this kind of lighting scenario, and it looks very, very good, and I'm just like in shock by how good this thing still looks all these years later. And similar to the unupgraded version, when you do pump this thing back, it will tilt to the side so you can see the entire shell eject. And for this little screenshot right here while I'm ADSing, this is what the trench gun would look like in different lighting scenarios. Like, the entire thing is chrome and it's not as black and white as in other lighting situations. And the last cool thing that I really noticed about this upgraded World at War version, even the ammo you put into the gun is upgraded. Now, when it comes out of the gun, it's still not upgraded, but when it goes into the gun, all the ammo has the chrome pack-a-punch skin, and that just makes me realize, like, the extra mile the World at War team went for this game mode, and the amount of heart and the amount of passion that they really had for this game mode. You know, props to you guys. You guys made a fantastic game that still looks good 10 years later. Now, if we swiggity-swooty on over to the Black Ops 1 trench gun, we're going to see some minor differences, but nothing major. The color scheme is a little bit different. It's more light gray and then dark gray, and it's not like the same color gray the entire length. The hanger for the strap is still going to be there, and so is the place to attach a bayonet. The US marking is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more noticeable. Well, depending on what screenshot you're looking at. In this one, it's hardly noticeable at all, but if you look at this one, it is very, very noticeable in the bottom right. And when you are reloading, it will be the same as the World at War. You're barely going to see anything. And also, one thing that I just now noticed is that the Black Ops 1 version is going to be a lot more realistic. And what I mean by that is the metal is actually reflective, unlike the World at War one, which was kind of bland and had like a matte color to it. The Black Ops 1 version is going to be more metallic and more reflective-y, so it will look a little bit different depending on where you are in the map and what light is hitting it. Now, when you upgrade the Black Ops 1 trench gun to the gut shot, I was very, very disappointed. I guess I never noticed this until now, but it does not look as good as the World at War one. Black Ops 1 is 8 years old, and I have all my settings maxed, but it does not look as good as that 10-year-old World at War trench gun. I just feel like they really did a bad job with that chrome skin. Like, I never noticed it until now. It doesn't look that good. Like, I tried a bunch of different lighting situations to try to find the really good one, and it just didn't look as good as the World at War one whatsoever, no matter where I was on the map. It looked really blurry, none of the lines really looked defined or anything like that. The chrome didn't look as shiny or as neat as the OG. I was just overall disappointed. Like, I remember back in Black Ops 1, I was so hyped that they brought back the OG Pack-a-Punch skin, but now that I look at them side by side, I'm a little disappointed in you, Black Ops 1, and that hurts for me to say, because Black Ops 1 is my all-time favorite zombies game. But I will gladly give it shit when it needs it, and that Pack-a-Punch skin is just nowhere near as good as the original. And that's not like me nostalgia or anything. Like, you can look at them side by side. There is clearly a better one. And also, for the World at War skin, you had the chrome going all over the gun, and the Black Ops 1 version, it's only in certain spots. Like, you only have certain spots that have chrome, and really, those are just the parts with the lines. There's no other real chrome on the gun, so they definitely did tone down the Pack-a-Punch skin when they brought it back. Alright, so now let's head into the new game, Black Ops 4, and see what all has changed. Now this M1897 word I can't pronounce really keeps the same overall feel as the original trench guns, but looks a little bit more worn and has a couple minor differences here and there. First, let's start our way from the right of the gun, and then we'll move left. So the first thing I noticed was there's no marking for the US. You're not going to see that US stamp on this gun, but you will see a couple extra designs, mainly these arrows right here, and also 2 screws right after those arrows. Now, unlike those other 2 versions, you will have some lettering right here, and all this says is the name of the gun, Model 1897 Winchester trademark, and that's really it, and you will never ever be able to read that unless you zoom in. And let me tell you, that was really hard to zoom into to figure out what that said. It took me like a solid 5 minutes. I guess I'm just really bad at theater, but it took me a while to master. And also with this trench gun, unlike the other 2 versions, you will be having a strap. Unfortunately, you know, this was like the perfect opportunity to allow us to have the bayonet. You are not allowed to have any attachments on this trench gun, so we will not be putting a bayonet on there. But hey, I guess the strap kind of makes up for it, because that strap really does make it look like 10 times better. And also one thing that I did notice about this trench gun, when you ADS, the entire gun and everything's going to be still in focus besides like your immediate surroundings. The hammer, the sight, your arm, everything will be in focus, and it really makes the gun pop and look so much nicer. And another thing that I did notice, when you eject the shells, you're going to see a little bit of smoke come out of that, and I think that was just an amazing addition. And the last thing that I did notice about the Black Ops 4 version is the ammo you put in is not the same as the one that comes out. When you put it in, it's red and gold, and when it comes out, it's yellow and silver. I've shot some shotguns in my day, and none of them performed magic tricks. All of the ammo I put into the shotgun was the same that came out. I don't know what kind of ammo we're using. I don't know if this gun is magic. I guess it might be because of the upgraded version. It was performing some Houdinis over here, and it was really making me question my sexuality. So I'm watching you, Trenchgun. I got my eyes on you. So after I've saying that weird statement, let's look at the upgraded version. We're going to be taking a look at the classified one mainly, and we will talk about all the other ones as well. So my favorite classified Pack-a-Punch skin is going to be the inverted white one. I think it looks really good on almost every single gun, and is definitely my favorite. You also have the just regular white one. You also have the red, blue, and green. Like I said, white is definitely my favorite. And with the Black Ops 4 Pack-a-Punch skins, it's going to cover a lot more, and it's going to be really hard to tell that this is still a trench gun. I wish they would have cut out like certain spots like they did in the World at War one, so you could see a little bit more definition of the trench gun, but I still do admit it looks sexy as all hell, especially because it moves. I'm in love with the classified Pack-a-Punch skins. I think it looks really good. And unlike the other 2 versions, when you upgrade this trench gun, it does not become the gut shot, it becomes the M9 TKG Homewrecker, which I think is an alright name. You know, it's not as good as the gut shot, but I guess when you upgrade this thing, it becomes a completely different weapon, so that is fair. And also for this gun, it would have been really cool if even the strap had the Pack-a-Punch skin. Just a random thought that popped into my head. That would have been really nice. And like I said earlier, for the World at War and Black Ops 1 reloading animations, you really don't see much, but for the Black Ops 4 trench gun, you're going to see a lot more of the process, and you're going to see a lot more of your fingers going through the shells, which is really weird. And it's not just a Black Ops 4 thing. This was basically been in every single Call of Duty. I just thought it was something, you know, interesting to point out. There was no purpose for me to do that. I just thought it was funny. But like I said, there are a couple other Pack-a-Punch skins. You also have 9, which I think is the second best. I think it looks really nice. You can get it in a couple different colors. Definitely my second favorite Pack-a-Punch skin. You also have Voyage, which I feel like is kind of a lazier version of 9, but not quite as bad as Blood of the Dead. And similar to all the other games, you can Pack-a-Punch it in multiple different colors. And then there's Blood of the Dead. I don't think it looks that good. Unless you're like in a room with no light, it looks alright. but I'm just not a huge fan of Blood of the Dead, man. I don't like that Pack-a-Punch skin. It does not appeal to me. It's not for me whatsoever, and definitely my least favorite. Alright, so next up, let's get into these guns side by side and see what all has changed with the actual guns themselves and how they operate. The first thing I want to take a look at was going to be the fire rate. On paper, it says that all these guns should have different fire rates, so I wanted to see for myself. And when I mean on paper, I mean the Call of Duty Wiki, which is not a reliable source, it's just a source. And when it comes to fire rate, the World at War and Black Ops 1 versions seem to be basically on par with each other. It seemed like to me it all came down to user error. It all really depends on how fast you can pull the trigger, and these guns do have a set fire rate because they're pump action shotguns, so you can only fire them so fast. But to me, it seemed like they were in sync and that they had the exact same fire rate. So I want to see how these guns fire rate wise stacked up against the Black Ops 4 Trenchgun. I put them side by side and start shooting at the exact same time. The Black Ops 4 Trenchgun is going to be one shot faster by the end of all 6 of those shots. And the reason for that, it seemed like to me, was because in the World at War and Black Ops 1, you tilt the gun all the way to the side to where the shells can eject, and you don't do that in the Black Ops 4 version. I would definitely probably take the OG versions just for the cooler animations than I would for the one-shot faster fire rate. So the next test I want to take a look at was going to be accuracy. Which one am I going to be more accurate with? If there's a zombie down there, which one am I most likely to hit it with? And my answer is going to be the OGs. And the reason for that is because the OG versions are going to shoot 8 pellets, so you're going to have 8 hit markers on that wall, while the Black Ops 4 version, fittingly to the name, is only going to have 4 pellets, so you're only going to have 4 markers on that wall. So you're going to have more of a spread and be a little bit more accurate with the World at War unupgraded and upgraded versions than you would with the Black Ops 4 version. And not the upgraded version, because that does change a little bit. We'll get to that here in a second. Next on the agenda is going to be reload speed. I want to know which one is going to get me back to firing the quickest. World at War and Black Ops 1 are mirror images of each other. They did a fantastic job porting that thing back over to Black Ops 1 because it behaves and looks exactly like the original. Now when we get to Black Ops 4, that's where the differences start to begin. Now we can only really compare the unupgraded versions because the upgraded versions are just so different in how they reload and everything. So we're just going to stick with the unupgraded ones, and then I'll discuss how each of them reloads. Now this was very, very hard to know when to start the footage, when to actually put them side by side, because they both have different reloading animations. And Black Ops 4, you actually push the hammer back up, and that is something you don't do in World at War. So I started both of these footages on the second they shot their last shot, because I want to know which one is going to get me back to firing the quickest after my last shot, and the answer to that is going to be the World at War version, all because it does not have the extra animation of you pushing that hammer up. If it did, I would assume they would be even, but it does not, so the OG one is going to be a little bit faster. Now, unupgraded wise, these all behave the same. You're going to reload 1 shell at a time. But when you upgrade World at War and Black Ops 1 trench guns, you're going to be reloading 2 shells at a time. And when you upgrade the Black Ops 4 version, you will be putting in 4 shells at a time. Alright, so next up, I want to take a look at ammo and how much these things cost. So let's start with the World at War one first. So the World at War trench gun will cost you 1,500 points, and ammo will cost you 750. Upgraded ammo will cost you 4,500. Now those prices will stay the same with Black Ops 1, and also so will the ammo. It's going to carry 6 in the tube and 60 in stock, and when you upgrade it, it's going to carry 10 inside and 60 in stock. So not much of an ammo gain when you upgrade this thing. But I mean, hey, it's a wall weapon, so you can constantly go back and get ammo, but it's not a point weapon, so good luck getting enough points. And one thing I did notice about the chalk outlines is when we take a look at the Black Ops 1 chalk outline, it is a very, very poor representation of a trench gun. It seems like it was done in a hurry, and I don't mean like the developers are lazy or anything. I mean like that's the look that they were kind of going for, just like a real chalk outline of a trench gun would be, while in comparison the World at War one looks very neat and very proper, and just looks like someone took a Sharpie outline directly to the trench gun. Now the Black Ops 4 trench gun is going to be 100 points less, coming in at 1,400, and the ammo is also going to be a little bit less. The ammo will cost you 700 instead of 750. And this chalk outline is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be very, very precise, but you're also going to see the gun. So really, you wouldn't need a chalk outline, but it does help figure out where some of the wall weapons are at a distance. And ammo-wise, unupgraded, the Black Ops 4 trench gun is going to stay the same as the other two, 6 inside, 60 in stock. But upgraded-wise, it gets a little bit more ammo. It's going to carry 16 inside and 80 in stock, so it carries a little bit more ammo, not by miles. But with how Bo4 points work, you will definitely be able to make up the points to constantly go back and get more ammo, because it doesn't go by hit markers, it goes by damage done, and this thing upgraded does a lot of damage. So now let's finally talk about these upgraded versions and really what changes, if anything, once you upgrade these things. Now for the originals, the only thing that changes is it gets stronger, it gets more ammo, and it reloads 2 shells at a time. And it gets a little bit higher of a range, and those are really all of the differences. Not much else changes with the trench gun. But when you upgrade the Black Ops 4 version, it gets completely different. It turns into a better version of the War Machine. The War Machine wishes it acted like this, so it will keep the same looks and everything, but what it shoots out is different. It's going to shoot out grenades, and they will not explode on impact unless you hit a zombie or a boss zombie or something like that. Then it will explode on impact, but if you do not hit a boss zombie, it will bounce around and hit everything else. So the cool thing about this is you could bank shot off the walls and hit zombies. Like, you could do some pretty cool trick shots with this thing if you really wanted to. And honestly, that's really one of the coolest parts about this weapon. Sometimes I find myself just sitting in the classified hallway and just shooting those grenades off the wall and trying to see if I can hit a zombie. Of course, you know it's going to be very dangerous the higher you get in rounds, but for early rounds, it's really fun and it keeps me entertained, and I absolutely love it. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is when will these things stop being a one-shot? And we are just going to be talking about the unupgraded versions. We'll get into the upgraded versions on round 50 here in a minute. But to me, all the research that I did, it seems like they will all stop being a one-shot to the face at around round 16. It's very hard to tell because, again, these things shoot multiple pellets at once, and if one pellet misses, you don't do the full damage. So I had to do my best to try to get every single one of those things into that zombie's face, and I tried my best, and to me, it seems like it stops being a one-shot at round 16. That is officially with all these trench guns when I can no longer get a one-shot to the face. Now to the chest and everything else, these things are going to poop out a lot quicker, but if you're aiming for the head, around round 16, that is when they will stop being a one-shot. Now the next thing I want to talk about is going to be how can this Black Ops 4 damage you, what does it do to you, and how fast will it kill you. So yes, the Black Ops 4 trench gun can damage you. If you do not have PhD slider, it's going to take about 7 hits from this thing to kill you, so it's very unlikely that you will kill yourself with this, but it is very likely that you may injure yourself and then a zombie comes and finishes you off. So you really don't have to play it really safe with this gun. You can kind of go crazy and shoot it at your feet and everything, and you're not going to take that much damage to where it's going to worry you that you might go down or anything. So I wouldn't treat this thing as like the ray gun or like the Law or something like that. I wouldn't treat it as one of those explosive weapons. I would just treat it as you would any other weapon. It does so little damage to you that you're hardly ever going to notice it. Unless you're backed up into a corner and those zombies are swiping you and your health is getting low, then you might notice it, but every other instance, I don't think you're really going to notice that this thing injures you. Now, if you do have PhD slider, which reduces explosive damage and does not completely negate it, you're going to be using almost all of your ammo just to kill yourself. And when I mean almost all of it, I mean almost all of it, because when you get this thing upgraded and you have PhD slider, if you shoot this thing at your feet and try to do as much damage to you as possible, you will only take 5 damage. And when I mean 5, I mean 5 points of damage out of 200 if you happen to be playing on Classic. So you will literally never find an instance where this thing will kill you unless you are trying to get this thing to kill you if you have PhD slider. Am I saying, hey, go get PhD slider? No, I still think that perk is pretty useless. I'm just saying that if you happen to have it and you happen to have this upgraded trench gun, it would be very difficult to find yourself going down with it. So the last thing we're going to do real quick, I'm going to show you guys where all of these trench guns are located, and then we'll get on to the fun round 50 stuff. So we're going to start with World War and Black Ops 1 first because they are all in the same exact locations. So in World War Nocturne Toten, or the revamped Black Ops 1 versions, it's going to spawn on the second floor above the box room, and it's going to be in the back next to where the cabinet is, where you'd get the scoped Kar 98. In Verrucht, it's going to be right next to the bar, like literally right next to the BAR, upstairs, located right here. The next one's going to be in Shinanuma, right before you get to the storage area. It's going to be on the wall right there. And the last and final one will be for Der Riese. It's going to be located next to this teleporter and the animal testing facility on the wall right here. Now, if we head over to Black Ops 4, we take a peek inside a classified. It's going to be right there in front of the second elevator that takes you down to the labs. If we take a look on 9, it's going to be in the raw location on the wall. If we're hopping into Blood of the Dead, it's going to be located right before you get to the spiral staircase. And the last one is going to be in Voyage, and it's going to be right next to this perk right here. This one was kind of hard for me to find because I'm not too confident in my Voyage skills yet, but have no fear, the trench gun is also located on this map. So now that you know everything there is to possibly fucking know about the trench gun, let's finally get into these things on round 50. What the fuck do they do? Are they even worth it? Let's start with the World at War version first. So the World at War trench gun, back in the day, was thought to be like the greatest fucking thing ever. Now granted, given everyone back in World at War fucking sucked. We only got to like round 20 and 30, and that was sitting on the catwalk. I never really saw anyone grab the trench gun. I always saw people have it as like their secondary weapons for dogs, because the trench gun is pretty good against dogs once you get this thing upgraded. And hell, even on Shinonua, it's still a very good weapon to use against hellhounds for the hellhound rounds. But I never saw anyone really use the trench gun. It was all Thompson, PPS Sage, Browning, MG42, ray gun, or Wonder Waw. I never saw anyone go after really any other weapons. Occasionally an MP40 or an STG snuck through, or an FG42, but the trench gun was just really never one of those weapons, and the reason for that is because it's slow. It's a pump action shotgun, and eventually once this thing becomes a 2-shot, it's worthless. If this thing does not stay a 1-shot, there's no reason to have it because, like I said, it's a pump action. It's going to be very, very slow, so getting 2 shots into one zombie to kill it is a pain in the ass, and you don't carry that much ammo, so really, unless this thing stays a 1-shot forever, it was just built to fail. It's a solid early round weapon to kill some zombies, but the later you get into rounds, the worse this thing gets, and on round 50, I would not recommend it whatsoever. It is a piece of shit on high rounds, and I don't care who you are, get the nostalgia dick out of your face, it is not that good. Hell, the double bubble shotgun is a much better shotgun than the trench gun on high rounds. Now, early rounds, trench gun's probably better, you know, that's up for debate, but still, on high rounds, the World at War trench gun is not something that I would desire whatsoever. And that's the same for the Black Ops 1 version. Black Ops 1 weapons are fucking trash. I will gladly admit that. Black Ops 1 is my all-time favorite zombies game, and I will still give it shit for being absolute fucking trash. Those weapons are god-awful. They're fun, yet god-awful. They can be both. And on high rounds, I'll be amazed if you can get like a couple kills with this trench gun. That's just how worthless it is. I would be very, very surprised if you were able to get like 10 kills with this trench gun. It's just not gonna happen. It's just too weak and the zombies are way too strong. Now with the Black Ops 4 version, that's where things kinda got turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, I'll tell you how good this thing actually is. Now on round 50, it's gonna be about a 3-shot to a single zombie to kill it. Now, if that zombie is a little bit weakened, you could probably finish it off in 1 to 2 shots. But the cool thing about this is, if you have like a horde of zombies and you get them all together, you just 3-shot into that horde and you're going to kill a majority of them. This thing is a very, very good weapon to have, especially because it explodes on impact. So once you shoot into that horde, it's not going to bounce around for like 20 years. It's going to explode immediately and injure all those zombies. So really the best way to use this is to not single out a single zombie or to not like kill 1 or 2. Horde them all up, get them all behind you, unleash like 3 shots into that horde, and you're going to see a lot go down. And also what this trench gun really, really excels at is boss zombies, especially on 9. This trench gun shines the best on 9. I don't find myself using it that much on Classified, and hardly at all on Blood of the Dead. But on 9, when you have like a million fucking boss zombies, I find myself using this trench gun constantly. You have a big open area, you have plenty of room to use it, plenty of boss zombies for this thing to go up against. You'll be surprised at how well this thing shines on 9. The other maps, not so much, but on 9, you can kill a lot of zombies. It's very good against boss zombies, like 2 shots on some of them and like 3 shots on others. It will get rid of them very, very quick. You can constantly go back and get more ammo. This gun is usually my secondary. Hell, sometimes it's even my main if I can't get the wonder weapon. I love it. It is definitely one of the best weapons to use on 9. Fight me at PAX if you think otherwise, because it definitely is. And I'm very curious to know, what do you guys think about all these trench guns? Do you guys like them? Do you guys hate them? Did you guys ever use them back in the day? Or do you guys even use them now? I want to know, what do you guys think? What are your feelings about the trench gun? I think it's an iconic weapon. It was a piece of shit back in the day. Now it's really good. I give Black Ops 4 a lot of shit, but I actually really do like the game. And the trench gun is definitely an improvement in Black Ops 4. So saying all that, that is actually where I'm going to call today's video. Real quick, shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are as rock solid as this trench gun and PhD slider. Like, you guys ain't ever going down. You guys are going to be there 24/7, still being sexy and still being awesome. So thank you guys so much for being my Patreon supporters. It really does mean a lot to me. If you guys would like to be one, check out that link right down there below. And also while you're down there, check out the new t-shirt shop for those, sexy new t-shirts. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and Discord. And lastly, if you guys enjoyed this thing, you guys watched it all the way through, if you feel like I deserved a like, make sure you guys leave a like for videos similar to this. And also subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you guys don't miss any of my future videos. And lastly, hopefully you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.